Hello everyone, Eb here, Tech Motorsports, and today's video is going to be in addition to my first video that I did a couple months ago, about 2 months ago, on my single pulse lift. I've had some questions about it, and the weird thing is since I posted it up, I've actually have had some come through my YouTube feed. And the ones that I've looked at and just kind of scanned through, you know, they always give you the specifics of the weight and this and that, and you know, if it's going to swing out and all that craziness. But I think sometimes to have the information of if you purchase one, what you're gonna find. I did look at a video when I first bought this, or before I bought it, and you know, the video pretty much broke down it could lift a Suburban. So it put it on a lift, how it went up, great. And I was like, oh man, that's sweet. It could lift a Suburban. It's a 6,000 pound lift. Okay, I'll never put nothing that big on there, but it's good to know. But since I've had the lift and I've utilized it myself many times, as I stated before, I've had small BMWs like this, being from an E36 to an E46. I've had my BMW X5 on here, which is an all-wheel drive one, so it's a heavy one. And then my wife's CX-9, a 5 Series BMW as well. And every single one of them did it the same, and which is the weight, the movement. And I've been posting a lot of videos up on my YouTube channel, and what I have found is once I'm going through my videos and I actually have the camera underneath, and I can tell when I'm going through and I'm tightening something by hand, being with a ratchet or a breaker bar, the movement that you see in the camera, I was like, wow. So that kind of, you know, made me think about it. It's like, man, I didn't get a chance to add this, or I didn't know how bad it looked on camera. Not that it doesn't look bad in person, trust me. It looks bad in person when the car starts to move. But so I'm gonna go through a few little things. I'm gonna set the camera up, and I am going to, excuse me there, I'm gonna go ahead and move the car around so you guys get an idea on the movement of the lift. So quick little things that I did not mention in the first video. The lift, it's a 110 volt, but here at my shop, I have 20 amps all the way through my shop. 20 amp would not work. It'll get it from off the ground up until where you would stop. If you would stop anywhere from the middle and you'd go do something and you try to start it again, it would pull too much of a draw and it would trip my 20 amp circuit breaker. So what I ended up doing is I got an electrician in, ran a separate circuit. If you look all the way towards the back, you can see I actually have an outlet up in the ceiling. That is a 30 amp circuit, and it's just for the lift alone. So that was one thing that I did not mention in my first video. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up the camera for the movement of the lift. So here is the column itself, and then the support that goes underneath the car. And so yeah, don't need to really use the support unless you want to make it mobile, but it can be bolted to the concrete, and those are the bolts. So the same bolts are on the opposite side, and then a couple more in the back. As I stated before, I have, you know, limited space, and I do have my lines that I got to make sure that the bottom of the actual lift here doesn't go past those lines with those items attached. So that was just one other thing that I wanted to point out. And she is slow to come down when you have a vehicle on. Doesn't make a difference, empty or not. A reason why I'm saying it again is that I was fortunate to use a buddy's lift a couple days ago, and the speed that lift would come down, I was shocked. Made me jealous, but it is what it is. All right, so we're set up here, camera facing the rear of the car, and well, let's get to it. Let's see how much movement she's got. So I'm just going to end up pushing it by hand, but you gotta think, I mean, when you tighten a wrench or you tighten something, you're gonna tighten on with force. You know, sometimes you're looking at 40 foot-pounds, 50, 60, sometimes 80 to a 90. Once you start getting closer to the triple digits, that's where I would say I wouldn't do it. I would try to do an impact or do something else, or I don't know, your call, but here we go. Now that's a lot of movement, and it's very unsettling when you're tightening something and you look at it, especially when you're underneath it. But here's the thing to it. I've had this lift for about 3 years now, and I have been torquing and I've done a lot of stuff, and I still feel comfortable underneath it. Okay, so now this is a 3,100 pound car. Let's say 3,100, 3,000 pounds. Now, putting on 4,000, 4,500, that's a different story. I do not feel comfortable torquing or doing anything to get that much movement out of something that heavy. Now you start putting on 5,500 pounds, no way. So again, I want to touch base. The lift has been great. I have, in all honesty, it's just been great. I'm not going to say there's not dislikes, because there are some dislikes, this being one of them, the movement. But I'm still underneath it. I still work on it. It's still holding up. I do every so often, I'll when I don't have a car on the lift, I'll bring it out and I'll look around it and see if there's any welding that's cracked, anything that looks out of the ordinary. And also I take a look at when it's completely down with no weight, see if there's anything that has bent, like the arms or that sort. You know, it is going to give a little bit, but that's where if it starts to bend too much and I start noticing it, that's when, you know, got to look at something else. So, but there she is. I hope you guys got a good view at that. Yeah, I hope it's very informative for you. And if you are looking at a single post lift, now the single post lift is an ideal one. I've seen many different name brand ones, and this is the ideal one that I have. I haven't tested any other ones if the movement is the same. So, but for the one that I have, the one I've been using, it does move, but as I stated, I'm still underneath it. I still wrench on it, and yeah, I'm gonna still keep on wrenching on it until I see some major issues. So, like always, guys, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I had a lot of views on the first one. I hope this one gives you a little bit more information. And if there are any questions, please place them in the comments. I'll reply to them as soon as I can. And like always, like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.